Hello everybody, it is me, Ryan from Studios, and I'm back in our video, and today we are going to be looking at, we're going to be making a tier list of all the Star Wars movies that have been released. This is not including the TV shows and just the spin-off movie, like the Ewok movies and all that, non-canon stuff. We're just going to be looking at the canon Star Wars movies, so we have 11 movies here. Or no, we have 12 movies here, so we're just going to start off with A New Hope. I really love this movie. It's not my favorite, but I really don't know what to think about this movie. It's just amazing. It started off this entire thing, so I have to really appreciate it. And also I've rewatched it in the past year, at least twice, and I just love this movie. Back since it came out, which was the late 70s or something. I really can't remember off the top of my head right now, but I do really appreciate this movie. And back then, without CGI, it still had groundbreaking visuals. So for this, I'm just going to put in the nostalgic tab. So NABDC. N is nostalgic, and then since from A to D, it's like a letter grade. So Empire Strikes Back. I really love this movie. This movie, it was one of my favorites back then. It's probably my favorite of the original trilogy. I really love the Cloud City stuff on the Cloud City, also on Hoth as well. Darth Vader was an absolute god in this movie. So I'm probably gonna have to put this up here as well. Now, Episode 1. Episode 1 had a few good moments, but most of it was kind of boring. There's a lot of exposition, and it kind of set me off a little bit. I didn't really like this movie that much. However, it did have a great finale with Darth Maul. I thought that Darth Maul stuff was amazing. Also, some of the space battles were really cool, and Jar Jar Binks, you didn't like him, but he was the first fully CGI'd character, which just kind of revolutionized how CGI works. So I'm just going to put this in the bottom category. Not a terrible movie, just not a good Star Wars movie. Now, Rogue One. I love this movie so much. Like the others, the visuals were just amazing. Planets that they visited were just beautiful. Eadu, Jeddah, and Scarif were probably my favorite planets of that movie. I loved how they went back into the original trilogy era and kind of redid like special effects that you'd think you'd never ever see again, such as like the Death Star and the AT-ATs. They just looked absolutely beautiful. And then the end scene with Darth Vader slicing through the hallway of the Tantive 4 was also just amazing. I remember jumping up and down in my seat when I saw this movie a couple years ago. So, yep, this was just an amazing movie. I'm just gonna put this in the A category. So now The Last Jedi, the most controversial movie of all time. Let's just put it that way. Maybe of Star Wars of all time, but I would consider this to be very controversial. Not like in a bad way. It's just divided the fandom. They gave Rian Johnson complete liberty to do whatever he wanted, which obviously was the worst decision I think Disney and Lucasfilm ever made. Because if as Poe says in that exact movie, if you start an attack, you have to follow through. The attack being the director. Once you start with J.J. Abrams, you have to finish with J.J. Abrams. You can't just switch directors halfway through, because Rian Johnson had a completely different direction. He had his own way of wanting to see how this ended, and of course, this movie was perfectly ignored in the Rise of Skywalker, which we'll get into later. But I didn't really like this movie that much, but it is better than not A New Hope, no, definitely not. It is better than Episode 1, so we're just going to put it on the C tab here. Now, the Clone Wars movie, God, this movie was awful. Let's just say I'm happy the Clone Wars TV show was better than this movie, or else the TV show would have been a failure, and literally the Star Wars community will never be different or the same ever again. So this movie, the CGI that was used for the animation of the characters was horrifying. It was absolutely horrifying. And the Lego set that came from this, were just pretty bad as well. I didn't really like the style of at least the sets were good. The minifigures, oh my gosh, like with like the big bug eyes, I really didn't like, and just the shaping of the head and the bodies. Like Count Dooku is not is not Phineas from Phineas and Ferb. He does not have a triangle chin, so um, it's a decent, like, it has a decent story. It's just not really executed that well. So I'm just gonna put this with in the D tab. So now The Rise of Skywalker. Let's just say if you haven't watched my review, I definitely recommend it. It gives a full in depth of my opinion and my friend Tyler's of the movie. It's just amazing. Of course, people sometimes don't like fanfare at all and like fan service, but I absolutely love it. I don't see why people don't. Like, everyone liked it in Endgame, right? Like, I don't understand how people don't like this movie. Now, there is I would say at least 60% of the people that watched it did like this movie. And of course, it got rated terribly by critics because critics just don't know anything about Star Wars. The only time critics ever get anything right is with Marvel movies, which is understandable, but because I don't think any of them have flopped in the box office or have gotten a terrible Rotten Tomato score. So, The Rise of Skywalker concludes the epic saga, which we all love. Like, I love it. I'm pretty sure if you're watching this, you love it, or you're just a hater, which I respect your opinion, but I really don't agree with you. So, let's just put this in the A tab. It's not nostalgic for me because I've only seen this movie once, and it's 4 days after I saw it. So, now Return of the Jedi. Really, really love this movie. Like, again, an epic conclusion to the trilogy. I really loved. I would say most of the movie. The first, it gets a little slow halfway through, but then the finale with Palpatine, Darth Vader, and Luke fighting is just amazing. Um, and then I also like the battle in Endor. The Ewoks are adorable. I also I rewatched this recently before I saw The Rise of Skywalker, and I love the speeder chase so much. I realize it's like probably one of my favorite parts of the movie. And of course I like Jabba's palace a bit too. I'm more like the desert skiff that they had, like the scene with the Sarlacc. I like that part too. So I would rate this a B. Very good movie. Not my favorite, but like, I'm not gonna have everything in the A category because that's just not gonna make sense. Now, episode 3. I already know where this is going. Now I'm just gonna explain it. So, episode 3, epic. Like, it's just such an amazing movie. Especially, it makes it even better, especially after a really bad beginning first two movies. So, like, this movie was just absolutely amazing. Like, the lightsaber fights are just amazing. The the effects are amazing as well, and I love the transformation of Anakin to Vader. The Order 6, just this movie was very well executed, like Order 66, but it just it gave a lot more like backstory to Darth Vader, and that's what people wanted, and that's what they got, and I really just appreciate that so much. So, this is just an absolutely amazing movie. Yes, there was a couple slow parts with Padme and Anakin, but it was the lightsaber battles and the insane battles in space just made up for that. So now for the movie that came before that, which was Attack of the Clones. I recently rewatched this movie. I skipped over about at least a third of this movie, and this movie, it's a really good Star Wars movie. The only thing that draws it back is the romance. Now, I'm not one from romance. I really don't really mind. I don't mind it, but I also like don't like it that much. It's too much sometimes, and especially in a Star Wars movie, it just didn't work. However, I love the Jango Fett and Obi-Wan stuff. I love everything that happened in Geonosis. That was just amazing. And then the movie concludes with the epic lightsaber battle between Count Dooku, Yoda, and Anakin, and Obi-Wan. I think I said his name already, but you could tell it was trying to mimic episode 5, and yeah, it was episode 5 in a way, with the battle, kind of lightsaber battle, trying to make it super emotional and just epic, similar to how Empire Strikes Back went. And I just absolutely love this movie. So it's not the best. I wouldn't say it's a Return of the Jedi level. I would say it's probably a little bit better than the Last Jedi. So Now, The Force Awakens, this movie was amazing. I really don't know what other way to put it. It was an absolutely amazing movie. Perfect start to a it was to a pretty solid trilogy. Of course, the second movie was not very good at all, but it had a good it had a good middle and no, it had a good start and a good finish. So this movie, I can't believe I still wrapping my head around Han Solo dying off. It doesn't really feel like he died off, even though that was what 4 years ago that we saw this movie. But absolutely amazing. This movie was perfect. It was absolutely amazing. Left you on a huge cliffhanger. The characters were somewhat likable at the time. I know some people had problems with Rey, but I didn't really have any problems with her at all. Kylo Ren and Finn were probably my favorite characters from that movie, and also I liked BB-8 as well. And this movie just brought a lot of nostalgia in me, if you get that. So now the final movie is Solo, a Star Wars story. This unfortunately failed in the box office, but that was also because of The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi is probably the reason why Star Wars is how as it is now. The community is divided, still divided, and the rise of Skywalker, of course, suffers from it being overcrowded and all of that. And then Solo didn't do very good in the box office because after everyone hated The Last Jedi, they were kind of sick of Star Wars. But Solo was a good movie. I don't see why it gets so much hate. I know the actor for Han, Alden Ehrenreich. I think that's his name. I always stumble on that one. But I know he had acting classes, but he's still a very good Han. There was sometimes I didn't really buy it, but then the other times I'm like, yeah, it's Han Solo. Kira, Lando, and Chewie were really good. I really liked the kind of twists on twists in the end. It was very good. I really kind of want to see a second one, or maybe a spin-off TV show with Kira and Darth Maul, who also made an appearance. And I do think they're actually doing one. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this movie was amazing. I wouldn't say it's on the level of Rogue One and The Rise of Skywalker, but I would say it's a very solid Star Wars movie. So we're gonna put in the B. So I really like what this is looking like, but I think something's gonna have to move down on one or something. Let me look. Episode 5, I loved it. I won't say it's really nostalgic for me. I would say the 3 movies I've probably watched the most. But yet again, I still love the movie. Like A and N are completely equal. Just N is a bit more nostalgic towards me, and I have more of a favor for that, I guess. So yeah, that is it for this video, guys. Hope you guys all enjoyed. If you want to make your own, and you make a video on it, join my Discord, put a link, DM me, or put it in the description in one of the chats. I really don't care, and because I'm interested to see what other people think. I know people have done these a lot. This is my first. Probably might do a couple more. Maybe I'll do one for the Mandalorian episodes next week when the final episode comes out. So no spoilers for Rise of Skywalker for the people who have not seen that yet. I really didn't think I said anything for the Rise of Skywalker at all. So might be spoilers. Don't know. I should have said that earlier. But yeah, so goodbye.